Hello, everybody, and welcome to another cup of self-empowerment to trust, heal, and be thyself. And I am just totally delighted to welcome our sparkly guests out of the US. This is Miss Katie White. Miss Katie White, welcome to our cuppa today. It's so lovely to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm
No,
so
my
excited to be
pleasure.
here.
My pleasure. And it's going to be our viewers' pleasure as well today. So, for those of you who don't know, who haven't had the pleasure yet to meet Katie, I just want to give a little bit of background knowledge about Katie, and then we're going to start drinking our cuppa, basically. So, Katie is an intuitive guide and Reiki master. She's an overall illuminator, which means being in her energy is going to fully light you up from the inside out, and you will feel your most radiant self just by being in her presence. She believes every woman deserves to feel connected with her most powerful, intuitive inner self. So many women overwork themselves for putting the needs of everyone else before theirs. And Katie's been there before, feeling depleted and having no energy left. That's why she's devoted her life to teaching women how to break that cycle. I think we can all really do a bit of that today. Definitely. Yeah.
Agreed.
And you're eliminating all these patterns. So that's why you're illuminator. That's why, the eliminating wanted to come out of my mouth. So, Katie, tell us about how your journey started with you, like trusting thyself.
Mm. It's so funny because I think I'm still on that journey, right? It's
Yeah.
about always stepping into those big, scary things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but really, if I go back, Pure Sparkle, my business really started because of my own healing journey.
Yeah.
So I guess in it of itself is
Yeah.
me trusting myself and trusting sources gift to
Yeah.
move forward through me. But really started back when I was working in corporate and just day in and day out on survival mode on the hamster wheel of life, just exhausted, drained every single day of my life.
Yeah.
And it really took a coworker when I was talking to a coworker and I was like, I'm gonna quit. And she's like, yeah, I've said that too. And she's like, here I am 30 years later. And I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
what? And she's like, yeah, I'm
Oh.
close to retirement. I'm like, is that gonna be me?
Oh my God. That's like a big slap in the face.
Really? Like, I mean, I was a new college grad, like, and she's like, yeah, I've been here 30 years. I thought about leaving. I was like, what? Like, I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, okay. And I like laughed it off. And then just that stuck in my head because I was like, is this really like success? Like, I went to college, I got a job, like, that's great, right? I should
Yeah.
be celebrating this, but I was miserable. And I'm like, is everybody this miserable? This lady's been miserable for 30 years and she's still here. Um, so I really started to lean in to different tools. I started with affirmations and essential oils and using them to really help shift my mindset. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, I was introduced to Reiki energy healing. And I was like, I was like locked so shut that there wasn't even a key. And Reiki was like, oh my God, Reiki opened me up. No
Yeah,
key
it does
needed.
that. It definitely does that. It really does unlock everything, doesn't it? Yeah.
And so
Oh,
from there, like, I ended up leaving my corporate job and my business has shifted so much over the past, 4 years.
wow.
But it's crazy and it's all based on my healing journey and like where I was at each point in it. And so it's so
Mm-hmm.
fun to like look back and reflect. I think one of the ways that I have trusted myself more, to go back to your question, is like with reflection, like
Ah,
looking back to be like, okay, I started here and I trusted myself to do that. And look where it led me, right? Like
good. Yeah.
reflection is so powerful for me that like we forget how far we've come.
That's a really good point because actually sometimes we do struggle and not recognize how far we've come. And that point of putting out with a reflection, I really like that because it passes everybody's minds. Doesn't matter how much work you've done. We all have those moments where we just have a little bloop and we go down. And it's normal. We're here, we're human, we're having our experience here, we're living our life. We have, the day to day going on around us. We have our responsibilities and everything. And sometimes, we get knocked out of alignment, and that's absolutely okay. And then sometimes you do procrastinate and say, oh, I haven't really been doing well as I thought I would and stuff. But as you said, to look back and say, okay, I made this decision to trust this. And that was the current situation back then. current situation back now. I've achieved this, 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 and this, and I'm feeling like this now. So, you know, pat on the back kind of thing.
Yeah. I
Good.
think that's what deepens my trust in myself, that it's like, Katie, like you're
Yeah.
doing fantastic. So keep
Yeah.
doing it. Keep doing the scary things that scare
Yeah.
the snot out of you, you know,
Oh,
like,
totally, totally.
yeah.
So going back, because you said, you know, your business is basically your whole journey, your own healing journey, what you're like sharing with others so they can step into that empowerment as well. So how did you start to learn to heal thyself? Because you tapped into the Reiki, but you know, for those who don't really know what Reiki is, or how did you actually kind of start healing?
Yeah, so I did really start using affirmations and essential oils. And from there, I was placed into this community of other people who wanted better for their lives from a physical
Mm-hmm.
aspect, right? They wanted to live toxic free. They wanted to fuel their body with better foods and supplements. And um, it really started opening me up to be like, oh wow, I can actually physically feel better, right? Because the
Yeah.
stress from my corporate job had just bogged down my body. I didn't even realize it, right? So I started to physically feel better, and it was there that I met a life coach. And
Mm-hmm.
traditional therapy for me never worked.
Yeah.
It just, to me, for me, it didn't work. I know it does wonders for some people, and that's
We're all
fantastic.
unique, so it's not like
Yes,
you can't be put all in the same drawer and say, okay, this is going to work for you. We're all different.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly. So life coaching for me was all about like, where do you want to go? And let's take the steps to get you there, to
Yeah.
be that. And so from there, that coach, she basically was like, you know, you can do anything that you want to. And I
Mm.
was like, I can. She's like, yeah.
So she's
And I
giving
was
you the
like,
permission slip. Yeah.
she gave me the permission slip to this whole life. Like,
Wow.
before, I literally just thought I had a permission slip to go to college and get a corporate job and be miserable for the rest of my life. She gave me that permission slip to believe in myself, to
Mm.
dream, um, and empower me to be like, no, you can literally do anything.
Wow.
So from there, yeah, I found Reiki, which is just a deep relaxation technique that promotes healing. And oh my gosh, I didn't even know, well, my fellow Pisces, Kelly,
Yeah,
right, we're so
yeah, yeah.
emotional. And I didn't even know that I had emotions because I had shoved them so far down.
Oh, you're lucky you. Mine were like,
Oh,
coming from everywhere.
well, maybe from the outside they were, but I wasn't consciously aware of that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
people around me probably were like, whoa, what is wrong with her? But Reiki literally unlocked all that I like. My first Reiki session, I just was crying the whole time. Like, she unlocked so much. She got me into such a deep, relaxed state that I was able to recall and release and bring up. And
It's really
again,
good for that. Yeah.
it was so freeing. Like, my physical body felt lighter after I left that session. And then at that point, I was like, I need to know more. I need to go deeper.
Yeah.
And yeah, so from there, I like, that's really, it started with my physical body. Like, as soon
Yeah.
as I felt the effects of stress in my body and how it could feel not to be stressed, I was like,
Yeah.
more of this.
Totally. I understand that completely because also for me, it was like Reiki came into my life and when I was like rock bottom, basically. So I was like, you know, like you said, the traditional things is like, it's just, I can't do this. It's not helping me. And I was too much in my head, too much trying to over analyze everything, try to understand, actually, you know, trying to think what I've done wrong, which, you know,
Yes.
it wasn't all my fault, but, you know, it's
No.
stuff that, you know, it's always a, you know, give and take. And what I remember about my first Reiki experience. So that makes it it's really relatable how you said, you know, it's just like, oh my God, I just need to know more because this just makes you feel so good. And you want to be able to use it whenever you want. You want to be able to have that access yourself. And it was for me, it was like the emotions were coming through. Like I was shredding a lot of emotions, but there was a lot of pain, a lot of stuff which was just so deep in me. And that the Reiki sessions helped me to yeah, and as you say, unlock it and release it in ways that, you know, my body was doing what it needed to do. I
Yeah.
didn't have to understand it. It remained, it aided me to remove myself out of my head and just allow for my body to do what it needs to do to heal, you know, because we know it's all on different levels. So, you know, different. And so it's not just the physical, it's the emotional, it's the mental, it's the spiritual, you know, and you have to start unlocking it on all those levels for it to actually start filling itself back into alignment. So yeah.
I love that because you're right. I'm also so in my head.
Yeah.
Like, and you're right. I could just be me on that table and allow like that spirit in my soul just to come out and be like, oh my gosh, get rid of this, get rid of
Yeah,
this.
bypass that over analyzing and thinking, okay, I need to do this and stuff and that, and just, and because it brings you into such a, yourself, when you're giving your sessions, how your clients are, a lot of the time people just fall asleep because their
Yeah.
body finally releases and let go, and it's so healing. It's so healing, and it's really interesting how a lot of us actually do start our own path by walking this way as well. So that's really good. And really, yeah, just
I
making
think
me remember, it's making me get a bit like, oh, yeah, going back to that thought.
yeah, I feel the same way. Like, and I think that's where reflection is so key, right?
Mm.
Because we really do forget where we started and where we come from. And so being able to help serve our clients, like
Mm.
that reminds us of where we
And
were.
serve
And
ourselves, because we're so good at showing up for everyone else. I know there's times where I completely forget myself, and I can go into autopilot. I can get the perfectionist in me can kind of like get a bit too expectations sky high out the ceiling and stuff like that, and then being able to like have these tools where you can go back and say, okay, come back, it's okay. Get out of your mind. Don't overanalyze it. 80% is fine. It doesn't need to be 1,052, Kelly. It's okay. So that's how you can relate it into your normal life, can't you? Into your day-to-day life, basically. You don't have to be like this totally on the spiritual path, walking, doing this and stuff, things like you mentioned, affirmations, working with essential oils. I must admit, I haven't really done that much work on essential oils. Can you give us a bit of explain a bit about how you work with them?
yeah, so I started physically, right? Again, like supporting, I had really bad lower back pain. Gee, I wonder
Okay.
why. I had so much trapped emotion, right,
Yeah,
in my sacrum and
yeah,
my
yeah.
root. Um, so I started using, ones to support my muscles and my joints and my bones, and I felt relief. And so then I started working with emotions. And honestly, to be quite honest, right? I originally started picking up these bottles, being like, oh, I can use this essential oil and my problems will be gone, right? Like it was from that aspect. So so that's how I started. And so now how I use them is more about like I use them as a supportive tool, right?
Okay.
So if I am feeling like my vibration is really low, I'm working through some like low vibe, like not really happy things, I'll grab like a citrus oil. I'll grab like a lemon or an orange to help
Ah,
uplift my spirits. Um,
okay.
and there's so much also, gosh, that's like a whole separate thing, but
Yeah,
there's
we'll
so
talk.
much
We'll have
tied
another
to,
cuppa about your essential oils then, definitely.
yeah,
Because this really
yes,
interests
because
me as well. Yeah.
exactly, because there's so much tied to the scent and your and brain and the memory that
Mm-hmm.
like if you were to like for me peppermint brings me right back to a certain moment, or like sometimes people smell like cinnamon or
Mm.
even frankincense, like
Oh yeah, I
cinnamon
like
brings them back to
frankincense.
the holidays most of the time, or frankincense
Mm.
might bring them back to like a Catholic church.
Oh
And so that
wow.
can that can kind of stir up some of that emotion, so I use them more as like a support
Mm-hmm.
um with the other healing work, whether that's Reiki or emotion code or whatever the
Yeah,
other many healing
yeah.
techniques. Yeah.
Cool. No, it's true. I hear a lot of people working with essential oils, and I know they're going to be really, really good, but I'm like, not
When
quite.
it's time.
Yeah, maybe it is time. Maybe it is time. I think it's because they all smell so good. I don't know which one I want. I want them then. I want them have all.
That's true. They do. They all smell so good. I work with a company that has a starter bundle, and that is, I mean, it's a perfect bundle to start with because it can
Okay.
support you physically and emotionally and spiritually even, and just
Mhm.
connection. And I also have my favorites, right? So
We all have our favorites.
we all have our favorites. Yeah.
Whatever it is, we always have favorites somewhere along the line. We're always going to have a favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, so what would you say, obviously you've been doing your business now for the last 4 years. Was that back then where you thought to yourself, okay, this is the time for me, Katie White, to step into my sovereignty, to allow myself to be seen, to let myself, be authentically me? Or was there another time which was kind of like very defining? I mean, it can keep happening, this is a path we walk for a long time, actually, the whole time, once you embark on this journey, it's, yeah. I don't want to say never ending because people go, oh my God, but it's,
So that puts a lot of pressure on it. But yeah,
yeah, it's
I mean, it's a
kind of
journey,
like,
right? There is no destination at the end.
exactly. It is a
Mm,
journey, with no destination. A destination to feel your best about yourself
right.
and in yourself. Yeah. And also
Yeah.
to like yourself, I think is really important as well.
Self-acceptance is a huge part of it.
Yeah,
Like, if you don't like the person looking you back in the mirror, then there's something to shift there. There's an opportunity there for something for you to step into.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting because up until honestly a few months ago, I felt like I was always hiding behind all these modalities, right? I was
Okay.
hiding
Yeah.
behind coaching, or I was hiding behind essential oils or
Yeah.
Reiki.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that fear of being seen, that's been something on my heart for the past couple months, where it's like
Mhm.
the moment where I'm like, oh wait, I'm the power, right? Like I am the vessel, the human vessel that spirit, source, God, universe, however you define it, right, chose
Mhm.
for me to bring forth these gifts and share out into the world. And
Exactly.
it's just that those other things are tools. They're phenomenal, but
Oh
like
God, yeah.
Katie White is the light. And it's so interesting. I was just having this conversation with a mentor yesterday who's turned into an amazing friend. And we were talking about when clients give us testimonials.
Mhm.
And basically for her, there's common themes, right? And so for her, she's like, it doesn't matter what program it is, I empower them, right? And for me, I ignite people, right?
Wow.
I'm like this launch pad. And we were talking about that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna help you start. I'm gonna
Yeah.
help
You're
launch
that
you.
Kickstarter,
I'm
that,
the kickstart.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like that's another big thing where I've accepted that that's who I am. So I'm not the practitioner that you want if you want to be with somebody forever and ever. I want to kickstart you, launch you, ignite you, and then empower the heck out of you and watch you soar and
Yeah.
have that belief in yourself that you can soar.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I hear you
yeah.
there. Yeah, I hear you there. I feel it's very similar, for me as well. It's like, I kind of like, for me, what's really important, I think you probably most agree, is that we all have this ability. We all have this connection if we
Yep.
want to tune into it. It's available. No one needs to be ultra special. Special. I can't even say special. Why can I say that so
Special.
special?
Yeah. No, and it's so funny. That's honestly a quote that I had. I guess I quoted it, but when I was writing up my website, it's like, I'm special, right? I shared my story. Sure,
Yeah,
I'm special, but so are you, right? Like,
exactly.
you watching
Exactly.
this right now, you are so unbelievably special.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I was working with a branding coach, and she was like, I love that quote. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I want you to believe it's possible to heal, that it's possible to have the life that
You
brings you
ignite the
so much
sparkle,
joy.
basically. That's what you're
Yes.
doing. You're igniting everyone back to have that sparkle within themselves, which is just absolutely beautiful.
Oh
Like,
gosh, it brings me so many like
yeah, that's
giddy
good.
butterflies.
Just the sparkle's dancing all over you, within you, and everything. Everything's going, ah. Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
how would you like to encourage our viewers today? What advice would you like to give them if they're on a journey to start mastering themselves, for example?
Give yourself space. Give yourself the space to be alone, to like it could be walking outside in nature, it could be
Yeah.
sitting in a room, it could be driving, but just give yourself the space to be with you. Like,
Yeah.
I want to really encourage you that there's nothing to fear about being with yourself. Like, we can so easily dismiss it and
Mhm.
go, oh yeah, we'll get to it, we'll get to it. But like, sit with yourself, sit with what you might be feeling or experiencing or not.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're just so numb that you aren't feeling anything, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But just give yourself the space. Carve out that time for your space.
Yeah, and that's a really hard one for everybody, I feel, because sometimes we're so sidetracked or overwhelmed with what's going on around us that we don't allow ourselves to have that space because we've got that to-do list in our mind, and we've got, you know, dependence as well on us, whether it be our job, our kids, our families, friends, commitments, anything, you know. And it's like, okay, I'll do this when I've done this, this, and this. Okay, I'll give myself that time when I've done this and this and this. Like, we have to be deserving to receive this, that we
That
have
is
to earn this time. You earn that time because you deserve it. As in, well, that's what I want to say. Is basically, what do I want to
you're
say?
worthy.
Yeah, you earned it because you're here. You're actually
Yeah.
here, there and now. You know, you're here, so you've earned it already. And that's
Yes.
why you deserve it already, because you're already here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being here,
Yeah.
where you are, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whether it's standing behind someone in the grocery, or it's, you know, cooking your dinner, or going to work, or changing a nappy, or running after your kids, or being taxi mom, or whatever. You know, you deserve it because you're here, basically. Yeah. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It makes so much sense. You
Okay,
are
because my
worthy
words
right
are like
now.
woo today. They're just
No,
like
you said it perfectly. Like your
okay,
soul decided to show up in this earth now. And so you're
exactly.
worthy right now just by being.
Exactly.
And I can't tell you, I mean, I literally have just started a new practice where every night for at least 30 minutes before I go to bed, I just sit I have like a little sacred space with a salt lamp.
Oh,
I
nice.
just sit and I stare at the salt lamp for 30 minutes.
Ooh,
And
that must
it's
bring you into some kind of trance.
it really does. And you know what? It also shows me that like I don't need to be productive,
Mm,
right? That like the world doesn't end if I don't go after my to-do list.
yeah.
And it just and it honestly I sleep even better, right? But
Yeah.
just sitting and being. Like we talk about like this idea of being, but we don't really know how to do it, but
Uh-huh.
you're already doing it,
Yeah.
right? We can so get caught up in like that self-care, right? The overworked or the overused term of self-care
Oh,
that
yeah.
we have to be doing something. And that's where people just are checking off meditation. Oh, I did my self-care, check. I journaled, check. And it's like,
It's not
no,
going to
like
bring you anything doing it that way.
it's not. And the only thing
Because
I
it turns
ever
it into a task. It turns it into a job. And then, you know, yeah.
and then you get your worth because you feel more worthy and deserving
Mm,
because you did it. And it's like, no, you're already worthy and deserving.
yeah.
And the most that I have with me is a journal, just because I am so much in my head and in my thoughts that
Mm,
I do love just to write that crap down. Like
yeah.
anything that starts flowing, I can tell that source has taken over that pen. And honestly, I don't even really look at the book after.
No,
Like
I
it's
don't think you need to. I don't
no.
think, I think sometimes it just needs to come out, like you're releasing it, and it's just being like transmuted through you just to get it out of your system. I do
Yep.
believe that as well. It's not because you're here, you
100.
know, you might be someone who journals, who wants to write a book, and that's awesome. But it's equally as awesome if you just need to journal to get that shit out of your being.
Yep.
Totally. And what you said
Yep.
about, you know, this being is really hard. You know, for me, my whole journey was this trusting myself so I could start healing myself, which then started me actually being who I am meant to be, you know, but the actual, you know, to be present in the current moment and to be who you are in the current moment, that sometimes is really, it's really hard because you do get pulled in 10 million different directions. And also, even if you maybe had people pleasing qualities beforehand, which you've managed to shift out of your being and turn around, which something which has been coming up into my field recently very strong is that how much are you trying to please yourself, as in you've got that expectation of yourself too high.
Yep.
You're not trying to people please everyone else, but you've actually got that going on inside you because you have this like, I don't know, this picture of yourself that you have to ultimately achieve everything. So you can say, okay, I'm good. I'm done with that. That's fine. I can let that go now. So
Yep.
that's been coming into my field a lot just recently, is the fact that, okay, the people pleasing, I've shifted that, took a lot of work, as
Yep.
opposed to, you know, yourself. That's, yeah,
Mhm.
empathic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah. But,
Yeah.
actually coming the next layer in that, I feel, is actually going within yourself and saying, okay, well, how much am I trying to achieve this? It's good to have goals. It's good to have these high aims, but it's not good to kick your ass and completely deplete yourself just to achieve it. So, yeah.
Right. If it's coming from proving yourself, proving that
Yeah.
you're successful, proving that you're worthy, proving,
Yeah.
and
And even
yeah,
though you might not even think it's coming down from that proven,
right,
you might just think
right.
it's actually because I want to give my best. And it's like, I don't want to
You already
disappoint, but
are.
who do you want to disappoint? If you're showing up and giving your best, you shouldn't feel depleted from it afterwards.
Right. And
Yeah.
you already are giving your best in everything
Yeah.
that you do. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And
Exactly.
that's honestly, that's one of the big reasons, Kelly, that I love being in a container like with a coach of some sort, right?
Yeah.
Is to be able to call me out on that type of stuff because we're blind to it, right?
Yeah.
We can be sometimes, especially when it's so deeply rooted.
Yeah. And it also
And
gives you that
yeah,
reflection. You have,
yes,
it mirrors back something to you. You've chosen a coach for a specific reason. And that coach is obviously reflecting something which is in you, which you may be not seeing right now. And I'm
exactly.
talking positively, of course, which has helped you to, I'm going to use your word, ignite
Hmm.
and switch that on for you, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Oh.
much goodness. Oh,
Yeah, that's really, really good. Oh, I like that. So, how can people reach out to you, Katie? How can people connect with you? Where can they find you?
so you can go to my website, puresparklellc.com, or on Instagram at the Katie E White, all no spaces, all one word.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I on Instagram, I'm there pretty much every day, sharing on stories and in posts and sharing what I need to hear too, right? Like I really believe that the messages I need to hear each and every day.
I believe that too. The stuff which
Yeah,
we come through is also for us as well.
yeah.
Completely.
So
Completely.
that's where you can connect with me. My DMs are always open, and I would,
Brilliant.
yeah, really love just making new connections and learning more
Yeah,
about new people.
definitely. I can relate to that. Oh, well, thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for sharing your sparkle and for giving the permission slip for others to let themselves be ignited. I think that's really, really important. And yeah, we are definitely going to connect for a cuppa again so we can go down the whole essential oil path. I think, that's a good cuppa's worth of information to come through there. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers will be equally as interested as that as what I am. So yeah, we will be seeing Katie very, very soon. So to everyone, thank you so much. Wherever you are in the world, have a beautiful day, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or the evening. And we're sending lots of love from us to you, and take care of yourselves. And we will catch you for a cuppa very, very soon. Bye-bye.